assuming Brock Purdy is here next season, which I think that's pretty safe to say, who do you think should be his backup? Last year was Sam Darnold, who turned out to be a quality starting quarterback, at least this year with the Vikings. This year, the backups were Brandon Allen and Josh Dobbs, two guys who will never, ever, ever be starting quarterbacks for a prolonged, without an injury ever again in the NFL. So who do you think, those guys will be free agents, who do you think the Niners should go get to be the backup next year?
I don't think they should go get anybody. I think they should really try to kick the tires on Tanner Mordecai. I believe that he's very athletic. He's more athletic than Brock. He's got a better arm than Brock. That's just raw talent, okay? Now, how he processes and gets through Shanahan's offense is a whole different ballgame. But come on, man. We understand that Kyle, we always try to get prototypical quarterbacks to come into this offense and quote unquote, we believe what Kyle wants because every time we get somebody, what is it? That's viable. Oh, well, this guy brings a different wrinkle, right? Sam Darnold is, I guess, his wrinkle was the deep balls, right? Oh, well, Sam can get the ball out there like nobody else can. The problem is that whatever you get in here, they need time to learn the offense because it's a lot to encompass as a quarterback immediately. And then secondly, you need somebody that's actually going to be able to play more than 1 to 2 games because we don't just have backup quarterbacks that come in a little bit. We have backup quarterbacks that damn near take over seasons, customarily. So for me, Tanner's been here long enough. He's going to be coming into his second year. I liked him in the preseason. I love to see more of him. And at this stage of the game, who's to say that we can't literally leave no stone left unturned when it comes to quarterbacks on this team? Just look at how we found Brock. So I think he deserves a shot.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So there's a couple things. Like I'll get to who I think they should bring in, but I also think like what Jesse was talking about in regards to the contract and what that's going to reveal about how the 49ers feel about Brock Purdy. I think the kind of quarterback that they bring in to back up Brock Purdy this coming season will reveal a lot. This past season where we had a 4th rounder in Josh Dobbs and a 6th rounder in Brandon Allen, true backup quarterbacks, they obviously were content with Brock coming off of last season. But if this coming offseason, they bring in a guy who has QB1 potential or was a round 1 talent, to me, that's going to say a lot about their feelings on Brock Purdy. The need to bring in a talented quarterback to at least compete with, not compete, but just be on his heels, just in case situation. Whereas this year it was Brock or nothing based on who they brought in. So I think that's going to reveal a lot. I think I would, at this moment, I'd like to see them go with Daniel Jones or Justin Fields. Those are the 2 quarterbacks I think I'm the most interested in for them to come in back up Brock. And I think that would put a lot of pressure on Brock to perform his best.
If you had to pick one, who would you pick?
I think Justin Fields' personality and his style of quarterbacking would conflict with Kyle. So I would go Daniel Jones.
Okay.
I think you should, or they should pick somebody that can play well in this league and has proven to play well in this league. Not because you're necessarily looking to replace Brock, but if Brock goes down, you need somebody who can truly come in and keep the season afloat. The 49ers are in a situation now where they're not the most talented team anymore. And they've got a season next year that is going to be super important for a lot of people. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Brock Purdy, these veterans that are a year older that are going to stick around. Like next season is very, very important. If they are fighting for a playoff spot and Brock misses 2 games and they are going to put in a guy that's almost guaranteed to lose, that might be the difference in making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. And I think you also have to bring in somebody that is used to being a backup. And so for me, I would go with Carson Wentz. I mean, Carson Wentz, who has had his issues as a leader, a young leader in this league. You've heard multiple different stories, whether like he didn't take coaching properly or he kind of forced his religion on teammates too much. Like there was a bunch of stories that came out. But what I can say is he's now played backup to 2 very, very good quarterbacks in this league under 2 very good coaches in back-to-back seasons. We saw Sam Darnold go 1 season with the 49ers and get a whole career resurgence. Well, why not a guy who was also a first-round talent, who has all the same physical abilities that Sam Darnold has. And he himself was damn near a league MVP. If he had just stayed healthy the final, 4 games of that season, he would have been the league MVP that year. He was tracking to be that. And now he's been coached by Sean McVay, backed up Matt Stafford, and Andy Reid, backed up Patrick Mahomes. His contract this year is only $2.3 million. It's a 1-year deal. I think you can get him for under $3 million. And I think he's a guy that can certainly come in and win games. And also, physically let's assume that Shanahan did choose Trey Lance and he was his guy, which I don't think we have any reason to not believe that. Look at who he chose when all the money was on the table. He chose a guy like Trey Lance. And then when he moved on from Trey Lance, he chose a guy like Sam Darnold. He does like physically gifted quarterbacks. And Carson Wentz, you can say what you want about him, but he's very physically gifted. I think he is the perfect guy for Kyle Shanahan as a backup quarterback for this team. I would go Carson Wentz.
You guys made great arguments. I like Tanner Mordecai's going to be on the team next year. I was thinking very hard about Wentz and Daniel Jones. Those would be good signings. I just would like to get someone a little bit younger and maybe a little bit less emotionally, mentally beaten down. Because I feel like those two, I feel like Wentz he's 30, he's going to be 32 next year. He had the injury issue. He's been on like 4 teams in 4 years. Daniel Jones, I don't know if he can even look at himself in the mirror. Has Daniel Jones ever really been good? I don't know. I want to go with someone else, a little bit younger. I posted about him on Twitter, so you guys know who I'm going to say. But for people who haven't seen it, I'm going to like draw it out for a minute. I'm trying to think who's the next Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold, he was on the Jets. They stink. Well, Zach Wilson was on the Jets. And his win percentage was pretty freaking similar. His quarterback rating was pretty freaking similar to Darnold's. Since then, Zach Wilson, I think also in retrospect, it shouldn't have been a surprise that he struggled there. He didn't play that much in college. He was young, maybe a little immature, and the Jets are a tire fire. So he leaves. Now he's in Denver. Sean Payton saw something in him, brought him in. He's accepted his role as a backup. He's not a malcontent. He tore it up in preseason. He was the number 2 pick. If he had been available, the Niners almost certainly would have taken him over Trey Lance. You can get him for like probably $3 million 1 year, $3 million, $4 million. And he's got a lot more physical gifts than Brock Purdy. He can run the Brock Purdy offense. He could learn a lot from Brock just in terms of professionalism, and I think he probably has learned a lot from Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Again, if you're looking for the next Sam Darnold, I think there's reason to think that it could be Zach Wilson. He's 25 years old. He'll be 26 next season. 26, that's how old Steve Young was when the Niners got him. He was a freaking disaster in Tampa. I think he was like 2-17 over there, but Bill Walsh had the foresight, understood a bad organization was ruining a good prospect. And I don't know if Kyle Shanahan can get the best out of Zach Wilson, but if Sean Payton's interested, I'd be interested too.
Kyle was pretty interested in Darnold coming in the draft. And I think he was interested in Zach Wilson coming out of the draft. So I do understand that point. But I will say this, I feel like Zach Wilson might be mentally broken.
That's
himself.
Possible.
That, yeah. Like
Possible.
when you had mentioned that, you wanted somebody who had less, who had, not had any mental situations. I was very intrigued to see who you were going to say, because I was like, it can't be Zach Wilson after what happened with New York, right? Like they had the backup.
Well, all these like first round picks turned backups. I've gone through some trauma, but I'm trying to talk in degrees here.
Okay.
He's going to his 3rd team. Wentz is going on his 7th. No. 6th. 4th. 5th. I like Wentz. If they get Wentz, I think that'll be a really good signing. And if they get Daniel Jones, I think that'd be really good too. I just think, I don't know why I think Zach Wilson has more potential.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good attributes at the quarterback position. I think the biggest thing that kind of fell off the cliff with him is, one, he did have a serious injury. He got hurt. Yeah. So there's his mobility outside of the pocket. And then 2, he did seem a little bit like he was, a little bit better than the process. Yeah. And I don't think that would work here at all. Because
I wouldn't work with Sean Payton either. That's why I'm sort of interested in him. I feel like
so you think he's got it out of system
way with Sean Payton. So
yeah. So you think he's got it out of his system?
It'd be worth giving a phone call to. I'm not really interested in Mac Jones. I feel like there's something missing with him. He's not coachable. He seems like a little bit of a sensitive guy.